Friday afternoon if you're in America. Wherever you're else tuning in, I say welcome. I got a little under an hour. This is my Saturday morning, so I got to go box here in about an hour and a half, so I got to get ready. But we have fights today, and I'm going to do a live stream later on as well. But I like doing this Saturday morning live stream, last minute, last second bets, last minute, last second questions. If you guys, are kind of torn between method of victories. I know this time of the weekend, I get a lot of emails, I get a lot of messages regarding prop bets. So, we could start there. We could talk about specific fights. Wherever you are, we're going to do a little bit of check-in. So I'll let it simmer for a couple minutes while people are, seeing the stream or checking in. So just let me know. Also, whenever you catch this live, just like the video, if you haven't already, hit subscribe. I was doing my analytics. YouTube offers content creators really in-depth analytics about who tunes into your content, where they tune in, how long they watch for. One of the pieces of data that I found interesting is that 75% of people who watch my content consistently haven't hit subscribe yet. So if you're one of those people, that's all I ask, hit subscribe and let's get it popping. So I posted yesterday in the community post section. Now, if you're new to the channel, the community post section, a lot of people ask me every week, where do I find your locks? Where do I find your parlays? If you go to my YouTube channel, if you look at the interface, you'll see home, you'll see videos, you'll see shorts, you'll see live streams, you'll see playlists. And then on the right, you'll see a section called posts. Click there. I use that kind of an up-to-date news ticker on what's happening in boxing, but I also post my parlays there. So you can check them out there. I'll go over the one I posted last night. This is a long parlay. We have two of them actually working because we put together a parlay Wednesday night in Australia, which we hit. So we hit on Kira Rustin, we hit on Vegas Larfield, we hit on both Liams, Liam Wilson and Liam Paro. Those were just money line picks. And then that's carrying that parlay still alive. And then I'll go over this one that I posted yesterday. Sam Boxing, hey man, my bet is draw Farmer Schofield. Sam, I'm not gonna debate you on that. I think, I get a lot of punters, a lot of bettors weekly who ask about the draw, and usually I don't really side with them, because a lot of people who will pick the draw, we kind of get enticed by the odds. But with this matchup, mate, the Tevin Farmer versus Schofield fight, right now it's 16-1. I think it's worth sprinkling something on there for sure, especially if you see it playing out. We know that Schofield's going to be the A side. We know that he's promoted by Golden Boy and Oscar, but we know he's a better athlete. But we know that Tevin can box. We know that Tevin can win rounds. And if you reason on my logic, because I'm picking Farmer on the money line, that Farmer might get robbed on a close decision. Think about, like you said, Adames Shiraz. Adames won those a lot more rounds, especially mid to late fight. But rather than taking Carlos's belt, at least they didn't, and at least they called it a draw. So there's actually reason and logic, guys. Sam brings up a great point to actually sprinkle something on the draw if you agree with how I see the fight playing out. I'm siding with, hopefully, Farmer doesn't lose another close decision. But of all the fights that I've seen recently, to actually sprinkle money on a draw, this is a good. There's reason and logic to it. Because the longer you guys hang out on my channel, the more you know. I'm not going to give you picks, predictions, or my betting based off of just odds. I have to have logic. And there is logic wrapped around that draw. So yeah, everyone else who's tapping in, I appreciate you wherever you are in the world. We started this. Sam brought up the first question talking about, he has money on the draw, Farmer Schofield. And, I could agree with him. I could see a path to being a draw. On my first parlay that I put up Wednesday night, on my prediction video, I have Tevin winning. Guys, on my channel, if all you're accustomed to are these live streams because they're getting more popular, this is month 2 of me doing these live streams. I also do breakdown, analysis, and predictions on the channel. Go to my playlist section. Kid Austin looking shredded. Tev almost missed weight. Landslide. My father used to have a saying about almost. The word almost. Horseshoes and hand grenades. almost. I'm not sleeping on Kid Schofield. I know Kid Schofield is you know, his hype isn't unwarranted. His hype isn't unwarranted. It's he's here for a reason, right? You don't just take a 22-year-old and pair him with Shakur Stevenson for no reason. You don't just put Floyd in there with a former world champion for no reason. His hype is warranted. Do I believe in it? I don't. And that's just my opinion, guys. And I'm being honest with that. Nothing against him, nothing against his father. I'm not wishing him to lose. You know, I picked Tevin to win. I'm just coming from a boxing logical perspective, how I see both guys fight, what I've seen so far from their careers. I haven't seen much in Floyd. He hasn't shown me anything. Over 4.5 Mabili. I love that pick. And over 4.5. Yeah, on the Arslanbek fight, I just have in Ricardo Brown, 6'7", 6'5" heavyweights. On the Ricardo Brown Arslanbek fight, I have a prop working. Will the fight go the distance? No, but I like that pick too, over 4.5. Also, if you could get a knockdown prop, I think there's value there. Will there be, over 0.5 knockdowns? So how confident Butler wins by knockout? I've gone super heavy, GMS. I've gone super heavy on that fight. I didn't pick Butler to win by knockout. I didn't pick Macias to win by knockout. I got the odds on Butler versus Macias at $1.80 for the fight not to go the distance. So that's one of my favorite bets of the entire weekend, which sounds insane. 2 days ago on a live stream, you guys, we were looking for prop bets, and I called it my unicorn. I don't find it every week, and I haven't found one in a couple weeks. But I think that, for me, is the safest lock, which sounds insane. We know it's a rematch. We know Macias stopped Butler before. The fight is in Canada. Butler's a Canadian guy. He's a knockout artist, but all 5 of his losses, he's got knocked out. Macias knocked him out in their first fight in 2021 with a left hook. He has power. But for me to pick either guy to win, they're both, fringe sort of domestic guys. I like the prop at $1.80. Will the fight go the distance? No. I think I'm settled with that, and I've gone heavy. I feel will fight conservative. He's been stopped 2 times in his last 2 times. Yeah, I think at the stage of their career, Arslanbek and Ricardo Brown, when you put guys like that against each other, I think you have, in terms of career, and these guys are fighting to pay the bills. I don't think that either guy is going to fight I don't think the word conservative is part of either guy's game plan, because with all the money being pumped into the sport of boxing, with these narratives and the rhetoric coming out of the Middle East about, exciting fights, I think that's sprinkling down into even the domestic level fights. I think it has to be in the minds of all fighters. I don't think they're going to go in conservative. Will you be like, yes. Yeah, Christian Vargas, great question. Yeah, so it's 10 after 6 in the morning right now in Sydney, my time. I'm leaving this live. I'm cutting this live off at 7 a.m. I got to go down to the city to spar. I spar every Saturday. I've been doing it for years. I'll spar for about an hour and a half, 2 different sparring guys. It's kind of like a little fight club we do. And then I'll be back to do live streams for that Wilder card. Dude, Hank Lundy. What happened to him? That's a name from the past. It's a name from the past, man. I forgot about Hank Lundy. Dude, boxing just chews up talent. It eats it up and just spits it out, doesn't it? There's so many guys, so many tough guys that, on a little bit of a roll, they get a big fight, things don't go their way, they get stopped a couple times, they become gatekeepers, and boom, they're gone. I almost said you tripping, it's Friday, but yeah, I'm in Australia. You can say I'm tripping, I'm probably tripping too. But let me go over that. So I have a 9-leg parlay. You guys can clown it if you want. This is what I call a fun parlay. I put it up in the post. It's 65 to 1. Right? So you put $10 on it, you get $650. It's in our post section. I'm going to run it by you guys. Let me know what you think. 9 legs. Guys, like this video, though. That's all I ask from you. That's all I care about. Like the video and hit subscribe. Come on. All right, leg number 1. Stephen Butler, Jose Macias. Will the fight go the distance? No, $1.80. Leda Boudion, money line. She's fighting at home, $1.83. The Arslanbek Ricardo Brown. Will the fight go the distance? No. $1.24. Naomi Valley, money line. $1.12. Bradley Rea, money line, $1.56. Victor Morales, money line, $1.06. Avius Griffin, money line, $1.12. Raul Curiel, money line, $1.09. And this is where it gets saucy. This is where we get those odds, 65-1. Yolanda Vega on the money line to beat Holly Holm. I got her last night at 7-1. She's down to 4-1. So you don't have to follow that lead. I put it in last night. $100 gets you 6,500 back. $10 gets you 650 back. So I think it's worth a $10 sprinkle. I also have my long parlay from Australia still working. I'll go over that with you real quick. This is up in the post section too. This one is only 5-1 odds. And, you know, historically, I do really well with the Australian cards. I hit on the, I went heavy on the method of victory, Liam Paro to win by stoppage. I got him at $1.80. And then on this money line parlay, Wilson money line, $1.20. Paro money line, $1.06. Mabili money line, Wilder money line. Tevin Farmer, I got him at $2.50. Zerto money line, and then Silziak money line. So those are my two. And then I thought I wasn't betting on Holly Holm, I said. Landslide. I wasn't betting on Holly Holm. I know you're saying, but over two. I know you're staying off Deontay Wilder. Over 2 rounds is such a lock on the books. Yeah. I mean, if I'm sprinkling out the Wilder fight on a money line where I'm not going too heavy, if that parlay loses, I really don't care. I'm not gonna bet a Deontay Wilder standalone. Like I'm not ever gonna have just a ticket by itself, a Deontay Wilder outcome that I have to bet and wait on. Not gonna happen ever again. But if you want to sprinkle that on a parlay, I think there's value there. We'll see. Like I said, sometimes we overthink these things. You guys know that. I mean, how many times have we sat here? You guys sat, you know, in your place, overthought a bet, and you know sometimes it works out for us, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, I was that close turning my back on Galal Yafai, and I should have. I did it on the live stream. I told you guys, you know, I uploaded and I did my analysis on Yafai versus Rodriguez on a Monday, and as the week started getting closer to fight night, by Friday, I was talking about, man, I want to delete the video and take Francisco Rodriguez Jr. I was like, but I can't. Landslide, I'm going to sprinkle something on Vega. I think so. Here's why. Landslide, and we could reason with this. Vega's younger, 30 years old. You got to love that Mexican style. We know what she's going to bring into the ring. If anything, let's say, you know, because Holly Holm did have a long boxing career. Holly Holm is a Hall of Fame boxer. Before she got to the UFC in 2012, she had already been, you know, had her Hall of Fame boxing career. Has, some would say, a Hall of Fame UFC career. Probably should go down as one of the greatest female combat athletes of all time, right? But at 43 years old, her legs, I'm worried about her legs, and I'm worried about she hasn't boxed. Yeah. Yeah. So that's my reason with Vega. I like Vega in that fight. Christian asks about, as gamblers, Christian, we don't have any protection over that. And it works both ways, though, because I won a couple $1,000s on Emmanuel Navarrete fight not to go the distance against Suarez. I won a couple $1,000s. I get the money in my bank account, and then the fight gets declared a no contest due to a head clash. Now, on my sports book, you know what? I think I still would have won, actually, because the fight didn't go the distance. But there was a scenario like where I actually was favored in that. I think I picked a fight to win, he won, and then it got reversed or something, but I still won. I didn't have to give my money back. So sometimes it works for you, sometimes it works both ways. As a gambler, though, you know, it's kind of like the price we pay. Oh, guys, and if any of you guys care, I'm just going to state this right now. 2 days ago on a live stream, somebody notified me that one of my guys here in Australia popped dirty for a positive drug test. Deadly Dana Cowwell. Dana is a 26-year-old Aboriginal boxer. You guys might recognize him. He fought Bruce Shushu Carrington Carrington beat him by decision, and he fought Chop Chop, top ranks, really highly touted prospect out of Robert Garcia's camp, to a really tough fight too. And all of a sudden, Boxing Scene writes this article 2 days ago, really aggressive article that Dana tested positive for PEDs and is suspended for 18 months. I then called Dana's coach and manager, Steven, at Hinterland Boxing, ask him about it. And we're on the phone. And so that scenario is so messed up. They railroaded Dana because he's in Australia. What I'm going to do is bring Dana and his coach on the channel the beginning of this week, and we're going to talk about it. But there's so much that goes on to these quote-unquote positive tests, and if fighters don't adhere to and it wasn't even VADA, it wasn't WADA, VADA, or USADA, it was the Nevada Commission. And with the Nevada Commission, as fighters, if you fail a drug test or something comes back with positive results and you don't return an email, a phone call in an extended amount of time, that's considered a positive test. So that's insane. The problem with that is Dana lives in Australia. The time difference, all of that, and then Boxing Scene writing the story is another negligent, reckless side of the story. So just stay tuned. That's a developing story. I mean, even when Jaime Munguia tested positive on the first sample, nobody wrote that he got banned for 18 months. You know what I mean? Even when he tested positive for the second, when his B sample came back positive, nobody wrote that he got banned for 18 months. Team Cowwell finds out that his urine test is positive, and they write this article that he's banned for 18 months by the Nevada Commission. It's insane. So to clear the air, like I said, next week I'm bringing his coach on. Beneil versus Moicano. Money Moicano and Dariush. Who do you like in that fight, Good? Yeah, so I have a UFC parlay working. Yeah, Beneil's classic. The problem is no takedown defense. The problem with that is Beneil's not the guy. God is good, Dwayne Styles. I appreciate you. Good. Beneil got some little miles on him now, mate. Dariush, they messed with Dariush. Dana kind of played Beneil Dariush from like 2019 to 2023, never given him a title shot. He's been stopped a couple times recently. I mean, even that shocking loss when Alexander the Great stopped him. Do you remember when Alexander Hernandez's first fight, he stopped him early? I'm not sold on Dariush. So here, I'm definitely taking Joshua Van. I got Josh Van to beat Brandon Royval on the money line. Guys, I got Hyder Emil. Hyder Emil is a great fighter. Josh Van didn't get knocked out. Josh Van's only loss was to one of my boys. Josh Van, dude, he lost a really tough fight to Charles Johnson. Charles Johnson's a 5'10" flyweight, an Olympian. Charles Johnson has cardio through days. He didn't get knocked out. He was 20 years old in that fight and was just figuring out, his range, he learned a lot through that fight. But Charles Johnson's a tough out for anyone. He'll pace you to death. Former LFA champion. He was on a 5-fight win streak. He's a tricky veteran. He was 31 former champion when he fought Josh Van as a 20-year-old who at the time only had, I think, 2 years of experience. Yeah, I'm a fan of Van. It's going to be I'm a fan of Brandon Royval. But I feel that one of Royval's strengths is actually getting out of trouble by scrambling. Royval likes making it interesting by scrambling. That's when guys will take him down or shoot. Josh isn't going to shoot. Josh won't shoot. And Brandon Royval will fight. I'm predicting Royval is going to give Josh the fight he wants and fight him on his feet. Tevin missed weight and looked a little drained. I thought he made weight. You think 100... 100 significant punches. That's probably 100. It sounds like a lot. I don't know. I wouldn't take that bet because I'm going with Van. Muscles in the house. People were loving the live stream yesterday, big fella. Yeah, I mean, I think the value on Van at $1.79 is enough for me. Yeah, Muscles and I went live yesterday. If you didn't catch that, it's on our playlist section. People were loving it. We got to do that more often. I got a lot of messages. Every time I bring Muscle on the show, people message me on the side. On the second try. Mar the Prince, I agreed. He looked drained. So he missed weight and then made weight on the second try. Yeah, man, it was dope. Let's get this money. I had to throw 10 on Oliveira. He gets rocked, yes. It's worth throwing 10 on Oliveira, but Topuria is Topuria's going to beat him. Pantoja gets a stoppage. I don't know. Don't sleep. I think this version of the Kiwi, this version is the best version. He's sharper. He's quicker. He's learned from that last fight. I don't think he stops him. My problem with Brandon is his defense. Royval's defense is leaky. I question his durability, especially on his chin. And Van's precision, timing, I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. Scared. Who's scared? If you watch the first fight, Kivo, the takedown bet, I mean, give me one. I want to see those odds. Kai Kara-France is, Pantoja is going to shoot. He's gritty. He takes his opponents down. But watch the first fight. Kara-France's sprawl is really high level. He's really tricky to take down. He has really strong hips. He has a lot of pop in his hands. So I feel that that's going to go. I like Kara-France in that fight. I'm not betting on it, though. I'm not betting on it. Kai's a dog. Call him what you will. He's a Kiwi. He does a lot. People really don't understand the haka he does before his fight. Fan looks really small in the UFC vid. He's a tiny dude. Josh Van, he's a Burmese guy from Myanmar, trains out of Texas. Yeah, they're guys, these are flyweights, $125. They have to weigh, and Brandon Royval's I think Royval's a 5'8" flyweight. Brandon Royval cuts a lot of weight to make 25. And so that's why I question his durability. Josh Van is a strong 125er. He doesn't cut a lot of weight. And when you talk about how he fights and being able to take a shot, Brandon, what's up, Johnny? Yeah, what's up, Brandon? Hyder Mill. I got Hyder Mill. Hyder Mill's a dog. People sleep on him. He really doesn't have a household name, but look at where he trains. Look who he's been training with his entire career. He comes from a really strong camp. He does a lot of things really well. I think he's undefeated in the UFC. I got him on the money line. Did anyone else see Turkey's comments? What did Turkey say? What's up, Rez? Getting married this Tuesday. Let's go, Rez! Brandon will swing that arm on him. Yeah, what did Turkey say? We got a couple side quest chats going on. We got UFC here, and we got boxing here. Somebody said Turkey made comments. People were treading lightly on his comments about July 12th. I didn't hear it. Are you referring to Berlanga versus Shiraz? Because I think, guys, we got so much money coming up. We got money today because we got that Canada card. My lock of the week, Stephen Butler, Macias fight. Not to go the distance, $180. 10,000 gets you 8,000. Come on. 100 gets you 80 bucks. Do your maths. But that I'm loving. That's my pick of the week. I told you guys that 2 live streams ago. My pick of the week. If you want to go heavy on one bet, I'm sitting here like this. Butler Macias fight not to go the distance, $180. Let's go. If anybody heard the comment, did Turkey say something controversial? What you doing for July 4th? In Australia, good. Because I live here in Australia. When I lived in America, July 4th was my favorite holiday, especially when I lived in Long Beach, California. I lived in this neighborhood called Belmont Shore in Long Beach. And on 4th of July, they shut down this area called Horny Corner. Everyone just parties. House parties. All the houses along the coast are open. Everyone's going from house to house. It's wild. That was in my wild days in my 20s. I'm an old man now. I'm out here building things. I write, so I don't even drink. So 4th of July to me, I pay respect to our country, but Australia really doesn't do much. Chavez via decision. I'm not betting on that fight. Turkey said he has plans for Shiraz and Shakur and is pulling for them to win. Those remarks and the Adamas Shiraz controversy has me nervous about. He has plans for them to win. I mean, it's not that controversial. Well, yeah, it is. My bad. The Shiraz bit's very controversial. I'm taking Boudouin. I'm taking Swindle. I'm taking Boudouin based on the home cooking. Big Mike Gaiman. We're romantics, aren't we? That's what we want to see. I'm not betting on the Wilder knockout, though. We're boxing fans, guys. We're hopeless romantics. We want to see what we once saw. Yeah, we want to see. It's kind of like when we think about our, fighters who are getting up there, or fighters who are once world champions, and they've had mixed results, or they're starting to fade in their career, in our mind we always look at them for what they were at their best. What's your big money parlay? Joey, I put it up on the channel. Yeah, Adamas beat Shiraz. Joey, so I put that parlay up on the channel. So go under the post section. You'll see the long parlay I put up yesterday, and then keep going. You'll see my UFC parlay a couple days ago, and you'll see the Australian parlay that's still live that I started on Wednesday. But we could go over. We can build. If you guys want to build another parlay right now. Felipe Lima also beats Peyton Talbot, guys. Shiraz versus Berlanga, hard fight to bet on. Shiraz versus Berlanga, I don't think it's that hard to bet on, Joey. I think people underestimate, or they take how Edgar Berlanga acts outside the ring and they use it against him. But when you look at him as a boxer, when you watch people talk about how he trains, when you understand this kid's been in the gym. He grew up in a boxing ring, amateur career, started his pro career 16-0, 16 first-round stoppages. Mate, Edgar Berlanga has hand speed. He's brutal in the pocket. He's mean in there. He's going to go for the stoppage. He's a big dude. They're fighting at 68. Shiraz's first fight at 68. I mean, Shiraz's camp is going to say he's stronger at this division. This is his natural division. He was cutting a lot of weight against Adames. He had a hand injury against Adames. I don't care about any of that. Edgar Berlanga walks this dude. I like Edgar. I like Berlanga to stop him. I like we got to mention the fact that a British. You guys think about all the narratives. This is no one talking about the Mexicans coming to the UK and fighting, right? You could go back to Mauricio Lara, even though when Lara stopped Warrington. Daniel Vega, I appreciate you. Has anyone told you that you look like Sasha Mitchell kickboxer? I get a lot of people looks every since I was a boy. You never heard that one. But where I was getting at though, when you think about I like Rhea fight not to. I got Rhea money line on that. Where I was getting at though is, do you remember when Lara went to the UK and beat Josh Warrington? Lara was a huge underdog, beats Warrington. If we stop there at that timeline, I think that was 2021, maybe 2022. Look at all the Mexicans who come to the UK who win. We see it all the time, right? That's a common narrative. You hear people talk about that now in boxing circles. The Brits struggle with Mexicans who come over. What are the Brits' records when they come to America? And if you want to start with Joshua Kelly when he came to Madison Square Garden in 2022, I think, when he fought Ray Robinson, and Joshua Kelly was supposed to walk Ray Robinson, he fought him to a draw. I don't know how many examples we have of this, but that has to be in your mind when you're trying to break down Shiraz versus Berlanga. He's fighting Berlanga in New York. I don't think Shiraz has it here. And I think Berlanga is the better boxer. I think exactly. Edgar is fun to watch. I mean, the longer, dude, I'm gonna be as real as I can on every video I do. Edgar, I've always been a fan of Berlanga. What's your pick, Canelo Crawford? Joey, we're getting the saucy ones. Joey, we got fights in 5 hours. We got money to make in 5 hours. You're asking me about Canelo and Crawford. I'll get to it. I told you guys literally since I got you. Since Crawford beat Madrimov, I was like, this fight's gonna happen. Since Crawford beat Madrimov, which was August 2024. He beat EJ July 2023. Fight to Madrimov August 2024. It's been in my head about I'm gonna have to break down Canelo Crawford. So it's always in my head. That fight has been living rent-free in my head before it even got signed, which sounds insane. So we'll get there in a little bit. What's the bets tonight? I thought Kelly was good too. He's also a hype job. Don't give up on Josh Kelly yet. I mean, Kelly, I think you guys, I'm gonna stay on track here. To answer Joey, I'm gonna give you an official breakdown and prediction for Bud Crawford and Canelo soon. I got something for you. And to answer your question about Josh Kelly being hype, I think you guys will be pretty. If he really gets the Bakr Murtazaev fight at 154, I don't think that's an easy fight for Murtazaev. I don't. Kelly's a big dude. Kelly can move. He's tricky. let's talk about Yolanda. I'm confident. You know, I got Yolanda talking about Vega to beat Holly Holm. I got her last night at a 7-1. She's down to a 4-1. Isn't that crazy? So if you look at who Holly Holm's fighting, 10-0, undefeated Mexican. Yeah, Edgar beats Ammo. Come on. Come on, dude. I thought Ammo, and I picked Ammo to beat Patrice Volney, but we got lucky. We got lucky. I thought Volney beat Ammo, to be honest with you. Volney was definitely the more skilled boxer. Berlanga stops Ammo. Come on. Ammo's just not... Ammo's a fringe... Ammo Williams, to me, is a fringe domestic level guy based off of... He's just not polished. Yeah, Holly Holm is the same from the UFC. The thing with Holly Holm, guys, is... I broke this down earlier in the stream. Holly Holm, when she went to the UFC, already had a Hall of Fame boxing career. If you guys did not know that. Holly Holm is, in my opinion, will go down, should be, is the greatest female combat sports athlete of all time. She'll be in the Hall of Fame in boxing, and she'll be in the Hall of Fame in the UFC. Will be the only female that could say that, okay? Holly Holm, though, enters the UFC, I think, in 2012. It has a long career in terms of she's been stopped. She got stopped bad. One of the worst stoppages I've ever seen in boxing was when Holly was boxing. YouTube it. I forget who she was fighting. She got stopped brutally. The ref tried killing her. She was knocked out cold. The ref lets it continue. She's on the ropes and it was a horrible, brutal knockout. Dude, nasty. And she was young. She's got stopped in the UFC multiple times. She's 43 years old. What's the first thing to go? Legs. She's fighting a tough Mexican who's undefeated, who's 30 years old, who fights on the front foot. I like Vega. I like Vega. That's it. Boss, take that ref to jail. Did you guys see that fight? It's hard to watch. I got Holly Holm, although she's old. She's a great pedigree. Of course, Mar the Prince. Yeah, that's why she's the favorite. That's why she's the favorite. But I think though that there's value in taking Vega. And, you know, I got a parlay, a 9-leg parlay paying 65-1 because Vega's odds. Yeah, they dropped it. Isn't that insane? They dropped it. People are maybe, you know, and you got to, guys, you got to think about this. This is something that has to be said. In terms of how our brains are wired mechanically. So without getting too nerdy, you know, I am a strength coach. We're all either left brain or right brain, how we operate when we're like right side dominant, left side dominant. And our movement patterns, we kind of, when they talk about rewiring our brain, they talk about, so in terms of degenerative brain diseases, Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, a lot of that happens because our brain neural pathways get stuck due to neurology issues, okay? When those brain patterns get stuck, in order to combat Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, if you have it in your family, if this is like a genetic precursor, they say, do things ambidextrously when you're younger. Learn to tie your shoes with the opposite hand. If you eat with a fork with your right hand, eat with your left hand. The reason why I reference this is when you're fighting boxing, the movement patterns, the space, the distance, how you sit on punches, the range, the timing, it's all different from MMA. Okay, even though Holly boxed first, she then had a 14-year career in MMA, meaning that she had a boxing style, but she can't sit on any punches. She has to defend the takedown, meaning she can't be heavy on that front foot. She has to check kicks. She's kicking as well. She has to grapple. Those pathways have been rewired. For her not to have boxed since 2012, and to be 43 years old, I'm looking at her not to have her legs. I'm looking at her timing to be off. I'm looking at her, to be on her front foot. And Vega is a boxer. Yolanda is an undefeated Mexican-style boxer. I think she's going to pressure her. I think that Holly Holm's going to fade in that fight. And, you know, she trains at Jackson Wink in Albuquerque. Unless she went, I'm not sure. Maybe Holly Holm went to a boxing coach. But MMA boxing and boxing are two different things. And when you think about her camp, Jackson Wink down in Albuquerque, New Mexico, you don't really think of strikers. You think of guys, you know, who do an all-around fight game. You think a lot of grappling heavy. I mean, Michelle Watterson fought out of there her whole career, but, you know, she had a karate base. John Jones, famously, Diego Sanchez out of Jackson Wink. So, I don't know. But then again, Austin Trout's from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I know Austin Trout is close with Holly Holm. Maybe Holly Holm, you guys could answer that for me. Even if she has gone to a specific boxing coach for this fight, I still would take Vega. And that's my reasoning. I think that's a live dog, and those odds are insane to me. I think, if anything, it should have been close to a 50-50. And that's no respect for Yolanda Vega. And Mexican fighters, they look at the odds. She's going to see those odds. I'm sure, hopefully somebody has asked her, what do you feel about fighting Holly Holm? How about them putting you as a 6-1 dog? I bet you she's going to fight with a chip on her shoulder, too. So we'll see. And those odds are decreasing as we're, currently. She started 7-1, 6-1, and currently she's sitting at, I think, a 4-1. Yeah, Vega's not a good boxer. Holm wants to Taylor Serrano winner. No way. I didn't. They just missed. No, Tevin Farmer, I thought missed weight and then made weight. Let's clarify that, guys. Before why did I see Tevin Farmer making weight? I know, didn't he make weight on the second time? Oh yeah, first time betting 1,000. Frank B. Oh God, you put a pressure on me, Frank. Frank, I wish you would have kept that to yourself, because now I'm gonna be stressing for you. I don't care if I lose. I want to win all the fights, obviously, and I'm very competitive. And I know and this is why I do my research. And this is the sort of responsibility I have when people listen. But that is a lot of pressure from my perspective too. So I've gone heavy. I think we got this. But I'm going to feel really bummed out if we lose, not because I lost, but because you lost. I just want to let you know that. I'm not sitting here on a high horse telling you that that I know everything. How do you think Shiraz training with Andy Lee? Andy Lee's a good coach, man. And I know some of the guys are they try to like diminish Andy Lee for some reason. But, in certain circles, the Aussies down here really respect him. We just saw another, who just went to Andy Lee as well? Was it Dubois? But great coach. I think that's a great move for Shiraz. Bro said, fuck it, if you ain't first, you're last. What the hell does that even mean? You could be second, third, hell, you could even be fourth. What do you mean, Dad? I lived my entire life on those words. That's a nice box, boy. May the force be with you, Frank. Frank, we salute you. All right, Tevin Farmer. Could somebody verify that Farmer missed weight? Because I literally saw him making weight. Sleeper pick of the week. But after watching tape on Cleveland and Pascal, I think Pascal could win. That's a tricky fight. Shake and bake. He goes, welcome everybody. I'm an amateur. I'm a professional race car driver and an amateur tattoo artist. Well, your teacher here is going to tell you to go slow, but she's wrong. Because it's the fastest that gets paid. It's the fastest that gets laid. I know Ben Whitaker, Parker trains with him. Yeah, Mark, it was Ben Whitaker. You're right. It was Ben. We saw the difference. When Ben Whitaker went to Andy Lee, he looked like a different guy in that second fight. I saw him miss, and he missed while naked, 134.8. Isn't the fight at 35? I'm not seeing anything that he missed. Yeah, 134.4. I'm taking the upset. Maurice, go to my post section. Go on my channel, go to the post section. 135.4. Christian. Okay. Tevin Farmer. But don't they have a pound? Clarify. I mean, if he misses weight by a half a pound, there's no belt on the line. The fight's gonna go on. I don't know. I don't know if I'd look too into it. I'm already invested in that fight. I didn't go too heavy on that fight. I broke it down so that my ego will be a little hurt if Tevin loses, and if he wins, my ego will be a little bit lifted. Guys, 40 minutes in the live stream. We're floating between 40 and 60. Can we like this video? 13 people have liked it. I know a lot of you boys, the last thing on your mind is liking a stupid video. It's all I ask from you. Thank you. Tev missed weight during the initial weigh-ins. I think they gave an hour or so to lose it. I know you don't like Jake, but do you think he can beat Chavez? High interest. It's not that I don't like Jake. Can he beat Chavez Jr.? Much love and respect. Gio in the house. California. I think there is a... So can Jake Paul beat... The question is, before we really ask ourselves seriously, can Jake Paul beat Chavez Jr.? You got to go before that and ask yourself, is this a fight? Like, is it, like, are they really fighting? I don't know. I was impressed with Chavez Jr. how he looked like in the media shakedown, in the media scrum. He had his shirt off. He looked like he trained for the fight. But Jake Paul, I mean, dude, come on. What's the weight advantage? And I know Chavez Jr. on paper should beat him. He thinks Chavez Jr. was a legit boxer, comes from a legit pedigree. But who knows what they're talking about behind the scenes? I don't bet on Jake Paul fights. Brown and Makhmudov over 4.5. Layla Boudouin. So yeah, I have action on the Brown fight, but I'm taking the fight not to go the distance. And let's talk about the Layla Boudouin fight. Well, isn't he too big of a name? No, it's not. It's not. Look, guys, it's not too big of a name to fix fights. We've seen it happen before in real fights. You got to look at Jake Paul at his end game. What is Jake Paul trying to do? Is he just trying to fight Chavez Jr. and win? No. He started here with, influencer boxing, which I still think he's doing. Then he's fighting UFC retired fight. He fought goddamn Ben Askren and punk ass, the only legit boxer is a barely fringe domestic guy in Tommy Fury. He fights Woodley. So my point is, fighting Chavez Jr., he's not fighting him to win. He's fighting Chavez Jr. as a piece in his puzzle to add credibility to get a fight with Canelo, like he says, or get a belt at cruiserweight. How come he's not saying Jai Apataya? How come if he wants to fight real fighters, I haven't heard him call out Jai? Who's the guy, dude? Cruiserweight? What would Jai do to Jake Paul? For me to respect Jake Paul, let me hear Jake Paul call out Jai. That's as real as I could be. Even Zerto. What would happen if he got in the ring with those guys? He's calling out, how old is my guy Badu Jack? Badu Jack's 42, 43. Do you think Victor? Exactly. Call out Jai then, mate. You think you're that dude? You think Jai's gonna play little games with you at a press conference? You think he's gonna play pin the tail? Let me draw a picture. This dude. You're out of your mind, dude. And Jake's smart enough to know that. Jake as a boxer makes me cringe, mate. Come on, dude. Everything. He dips his head, dips his lead shoulder, and throws a bolo punch. Yeah, Badu Jack. How old's Badu Jack? And that just shows you the. So when okay, from let's use being an entrepreneur as an example. Let's use so one of my good mates. I met him a while. He's an angel investor. He made a lot of money when he was younger. Now he just sits back and he looks at startups and he looks at areas in the market that he feels he could invest money in to make a lot of money, right? That's called a point of difference. POD, a point of difference in a market, right? When you're thinking about boxing and how Jake Paul is looking at boxing, he's looking for points of difference. Think about the cruiserweight division. Think about how lean that division is. The point of difference is you have a champion in cruiserweight, which shows you how lean the division is in Badu Jack. So Jake wants relevance. Jake wants to be able to say, have a legacy that I was a world champion. That's the route. That's the easiest route in his head to go. And yeah, come on, bro. Come on, bro. What were we talking? Somebody wants to talk about Layla, right? Let me get back to, I think it was Mar, Stephen Butler. Layla Boudouin. What's the big money parlay? Joey, I put it up on the page. So the reason why I like Boudouin versus she's fighting Mekhalad, it's going to come down to points and decisions. It's going to come down to home cooking. That fight is on the, it's on that Canada card. There's a lot of A-side Canadians on that card. That's why I'm leaning on her. I think she's going to get a points decision. Carbon Tree. I got Ricardo Brown. Nice. You're taking the 6'7" Jamaican to win by stoppage. I can see why you're doing that. Both guys, older heavyweights. The fight could end in stoppage. I don't hate that bet. I have an active parlay working with that fight to not go the distance though. So, you know, because I could see Brown losing. I mean, Brown is, I mean, he's far from world class, and neither guy is going to be a world champion. Meaning that where are their legs at? Where is their you know, durability at? King Hassan slew. Boxing fights can be fixed. The mob guaranteed. Jake LaMotta, yeah, it was stopped. Then Jake became champ. People not factoring Suleiman offering Paul a cruiserweight world title shot after this fight. Yeah. So that, man, and the powers that be, they don't. The powers that be like Suleiman, the you know, the promotional companies, the sanctioning bodies, they're not boxing heads like we are. Like the hierarchy and how the systems work, we're like the low-level bottom feeders, which is insane in the sport because we're the ones who probably know more than anyone regarding the fighters, right? But the ones running the show, they're the puppet masters. They're the one, that's where the corruption lies. And so they just want eyes on the sport. So for true fans of the sport like us, we have to have boundaries in what we do, especially when we're putting our hard-earned cash, whether it's $1 or $10,000. We have to have boundaries. That's why I don't fuck with Jake Paul. I talk about it every stream, especially during his fight weeks. It's why I have to have boundaries on how I go about my business. And it's, you know, we talked about you know, fighters dying in the ring. If you go, I just posted about Patrick Day. Rest in peace. You know, that one still bums me out. Patrick Day, you know, was fighting Charles Conwell. And Patrick Day, you know, college graduate, really didn't even need boxing, just loved boxing. And he fought a really tough 21-year-old blue chip prospect and got stopped late and, you know, goes into a coma and never woke up. And, you know, the world lost a really good kid. And that happens in boxing. And the last thing I'm ever going to do is support a guy like Jake Paul who comes into our sport and prostitutes it. So, come on. High interest, you sneaky, you know about those little sneaky actions, don't you? All right. I told you guys, my locks of the week. Stephen Butler fight, not to go the distance, $1.80. I like the Ricardo Brown fight, not to go the distance. I think, you know, in some of those heavyweight fights, guys, my boy's fighting in the PFL this weekend. So I don't bet, like a personal friend of mine is having an opportunity at middleweight, Dalton Rasta. So Dalton Rasta is fighting Aaron Jeffries. They fought a couple years ago. Jeffries gave Dalton his only loss. They're both, you know, aggressive grapplers and wrestlers. Dalton was a boxer first, though. He got better hands. I think Dalton gets him this time. Tim Bradley says Schofield about to put on a show against Farmer. Shame I don't have it. Come on, guys. Tim Bradley is also the guy. Tim Bradley is also the guy who tried to talk Teofimo into a fight with Brian Norman Jr. or no, Bradley's the guy who tried to talk Teo into a fight with Boots, and then said Boots ducked, and then a week later he said he was just playing. So it's you could take Bradley's words however you want to take them. And don't bet on Schofield. You think that fight's going to get stopped? First round stoppage, second round stoppage. Deontay Wilder's, I mean, on paper, historically, guys, I think we could all agree that Wilder should stop his opponent, Herndon. That fight was never on Hand History Vault. This is what happens, guys. I pay attention to these YouTube content creators in boxing in America. This is what they do. They don't watch the sport how a lot, like, they don't watch boxing. They have a few favorite fighters, and then in between their fights, they create fake headlines. They create fake beef. They have huge followings, and then they get their group of people really excited about a potential fight. A lot of people tuning in, people clicking on their thing. The fight's never gone official. It was never going to happen. The fight falls through. They get to do another video about the fight falling through. They get to do a video about somebody ducking, create a fake rhetoric. That fight's never happening. Devin Haney's never fighting Brian Norman Jr. Not right now. You're telling me that Haney's what's happened so far in his career, he's going to go to 147 and fight Brian Norman Jr.? You're out of your mind. That fight was never going to happen. And, you know, don't tell some of these guys on YouTube that, though. They just want to get those clicks. Yeah, Malik Scott. Well, Chris, we got to go back to, you know, him leaving Braylon. He never, dude, trust me, that fight was never, Haney never agreed to that fight. Don't fall for that. Team Haney, his dad, they never agreed to fight Norman Jr. Brett, it's going well, brother. I got about 10 minutes left here. We're 50 minutes in. Guys, I'm going to be going live for the Deontay Wilder fight card. It's, you know, the Christian Mid-Billy fight card. Because I don't think I have BLK Prime down here, but I do have DAZN. So if I could get the Wilder fight card, I'll be doing it. But I think it's going to be the Canadian fight card. And we'll be able to watch in live time. If Stephen Butler screws us. Stephen Butler, we need that fight to end by a stoppage. That fight goes down in about an hour. So I think Deontay Wilder's struggles was when he left Mark Braylon. And then he blamed Braylon for poisoning his water bottle. David, yeah, we get down here in Australia, the ESPN Plus fights will either be on DAZN, because we don't, ESPN Plus down here, we have to get Disney Channel for it. It's insane. The options in Australia, sometimes we won't even be able to get top rank cards. Streaming on Streamies like a real degenerate. Streaming on Streamies like a real G. So yeah, Butler's fighting at 8. All right, guys, what are your locks? You guys ask me all the time. Give me your locks right now. I do this every week before the fights. Whoever puts their locks, give me 3 or 4 of them. I'll screenshot them and I'll put them on our channel. Who was it last week that hit? One of our boys on the channel. I posted his picks and he hit. Okay, Wilder by knockout. But so what because I'm not going to screenshot this, but in the post section right now, on the last post, type in your locks and I'll feature one of them. Butler knock landslide. I like the fight not to go the distance, $1.80. Guerrero, Christopher Guerrero should not a lot of value. He's going to win that fight. He is weird. Yep. Zerto by decision, 100%. That's the safer bet. If you want to get fancy, I like a knockdown prop bet over 0.5. Could juice those up. I think Zerto could drop his opponent. Wilder 1-2 plus 110. See, Wilder throws like 2 punches around, mate. Like I said, that's me betting on a Deontay Wilder outcome is like me betting on a Jake Paul fight these days. I'm not messing with that. You know what if we could easily be witnessing another Oliver McCall situation with Deontay. We don't know. If you don't know the fight I'm referencing, Google it. I'm an old-timer. Google Oliver McCall. Sitting on his stool crying in between rounds. Crying. Had a mental breakdown in a fight, a world title fight. Well, was it Riddick Bowe or forget who he was fighting? Crying. So I'm not saying Deontay Wilder is going to do that, but I think Deontay Wilder, anything that happens from now on, you could put that adjacent to that Oliver McCall sort of scenario. I don't really mess. It's a risky bet picking him to win in rounds 1 or 2. Schofield winning, hand history vault, lock. It's hard to argue that. Lennox Lewis, there you go. But you know what I'm talking about. So McCall, at one time had all the goods. People were really high on him. Great performances early on, and then when that mind leaves you, dude, and you're out there and you're scared. I like the muscle string. Tomas, we appreciate you. Yeah, I'm gonna post something as soon as I get off. Oleg Popov to win over 1.5. There you go. All right, guys, could you put MMA better? Could you type these locks in my post section? What that'll allow me to do is screenshot it and then repost so everybody can see. Guys, I got to get out of here. Wherever you catch this, I say welcome. If you haven't already, subscribe, like this video. I'm going live again when I get back from boxing. Let's get this money, guys. Whoever followed my lead on the Butler-Macias fight, I'm cheering for you. I'm going to be more happy for you if you win than I win, and I'm going to be more upset about you losing than for me. Let's go.